Hello and welcome to my channel. No passport required today because I'm on the small island of Great Bernera, just off the west coast of Lewis in the Outer Hebrides. I'm no stranger to Bernera. I've visited many times over the years, and one place that always draws people here in the summer months is Bosta Beach. Many would say it's one of the most beautiful beaches in the Outer Hebrides, but I'll let you decide that for yourselves. Before we get there though, I'll start here on the bridge that connects Bernera to Lewis. It might not look particularly remarkable today, but the bridge completely transformed life on the island. Before it opened in 1953, the only way to reach Bernera was by ferry. So in bad weather, the crossing simply wasn't possible, and everything from food and fuel, livestock and all the supplies had to make that journey across the water. And like many small Hebridean islands, Bernera faced the challenge of keeping its community alive, and many local people believe that without this bridge, the island might not have remained the thriving community it is today.
In this house of cards, she says, hey man.
And today life is very different. Cars can cross over to Bernera in less than a minute, and you can walk over. The bridge I'm on is the original bridge over the Atlantic, opened in 1953, and the one to my right is the new award-winning bridge, opened at the end of 2021. There's also an information board here explaining the engineering behind both bridges if you'd like to learn a little bit more.
Maybe nothing nowhere ever was that okay.
Before leaving the bridge, I couldn't resist one quick stop. Just through a little gate and up the hill are the Bernera standing stones. And on a clear day like today, the views up here are really nice, and it's well worth the wee short walk. I'm going to spend the day exploring this beautiful little island, visiting its stunning beach, the Iron Age house, the museum and shop, before finishing with a walk out to the Norse Mill. So let's get started. The Bernera riot is commemorated by a cairn built of stones from every croft on Bernera and capped by stones from the crofts of the three men who stood trial. The cairn was erected in 1992 by the people of Bernera. As I make my way down to Bosta Beach, it's really easy to see why so many people say this is one of the most beautiful beaches in the Outer Hebrides. The white shell sand and crystal clear turquoise water. Wouldn't look at a place in the Caribbean if it wasn't for the backdrop of rugged Hebridean hills and, of course, the Baltic cold Atlantic water. I'm actually heading to the Caribbean this December on a 2-week cruise, so I'll be putting that comparison to the test. I'll be comparing the beaches, testing the water and seeing just how similar or different they really are. Call it research. Just beyond the beach stands a full-sized replica of an Iron Age house, built close to where the original dwelling was discovered, buried beneath the sand. I'll be exploring that shortly, but first it's time to enjoy one of the Hebrides' most spectacular beaches. What we can see here is the Bosta time and tide bell. It was installed here in 2010 and it's one of only a handful across the UK, and unlike any ordinary bell, no one has to ring it. so every set of chimes is completely unique. It was created by an artist not just as a beautiful feature, but also to make us think about our changing climate and how rising sea levels will affect places like this. If you've ever heard the bell ringing, either here at Bosta or anywhere else, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear where you heard it and what you thought of it. Just a short walk from Bosta Beach stands one of Bernera's most fascinating attractions. At first glance, it looks like an ancient house that somehow survived for thousands of years. But what you're actually seeing is a full-size reconstruction built as accurately as possible using archaeological evidence. The story began in the spring of 1993 when a series of storms and exceptionally high tides stripped away part of the sand dunes just behind the beach. And as sand disappeared, the outlines of stone walls began to emerge. What had been hidden beneath the dunes for almost 2,000 years was an Iron Age settlement. After several years of archaeological excavation, one of the houses was carefully reconstructed close to the original site. Everything from its unusual rounded shape to the thick dry stone walls was based on what archaeologists uncovered during the dig. Stepping inside really gives you a sense of just how different life would have been here. The main room, this room, would have been the centre of family life, with a fire in the middle. And a smaller room thought to have been used for storing food through the long Hebridean winters out the back here. It's open May through to the end of September, 12 till 4. It's only open Monday to Friday. It is closed on a Saturday. It costs £5 to get in, and there is a guide in there when you arrive, so you will get all the stories and all the knowledge on the excavations. There's a raised platform which probably was used for general storage. It's unlikely to be used for sleeping because the smoke from the peat would have been building up in that roof space. It's incredible to think that a chance discovery after a storm has given us such an amazing insight into how people were living here nearly 2,000 years ago. And if you'd like to find out even more, then the museum back at the community centre tells the full story of the excavation and how this remarkable discovery came to light. And I'm heading in there to see it now. I'd definitely recommend spending some time here. Having just visited the Iron Age house, it was fascinating to learn more about the archaeological discoveries made here, as well as the story of the bridge that transformed life on the island. The museum also points you towards some of Bernera's other attractions, including the Norse Mill, which I'm just going to, and the Lobster Ponds, and several walking routes. If you're only here for a day, it's worth planning your time because there's far more to see than you might expect. After the museum, I made it through to the shop. They have lovely crafts and the cafe, fabulous food in the cafe, but it was just a bit too busy for me to film, so you'll have to trust me on that one. Whenever you look up the Norse Mill, Isle of Lewis, it's usually the one in Shawbost that you find. And I've already visited there. I'll link it up just now so you can see that one. But the Bernera one seems a little bit hidden. It's a bit further off the track. As I said earlier, park the car at the museum and take the walk out. It's a lovely walk out on a day like today, certainly, but don't forget your hiking boots. It can be a bit steep, it can be a bit boggy, but the views are worth it definitely when you arrive at this reconstructed mill. It was originally done by the Bernera Historic Society. Okay, look at the size of it. I don't think I'm going to be getting in that way. I think that's probably where the water went in. So let's see where the door is. When they first restored it, it was used thatch, but they realised thatch didn't last very long, so they put turf that was locally cut on the island of Great Bernera.
Uh-huh.
It's a great find, so I would highly recommend coming down. Look what it is in a perfect setting. It's beautiful. And if you're going to see the Lobster Ponds at the same time, then come see this and then just carry on and see the Lobster Ponds. I ran out of time, so I couldn't, but as I said, next time I'll be there. For such a small island, Bernera has so much to offer. But there's still plenty I haven't seen, so next time I'll be visiting the Lobster Ponds and tackling that circular walk from the museum to Bosta Beach, and I hope you'll join me for part 2. Thank you very much for watching. See you again soon. Bye.